Knoxville is the home of the dumpster upon which they've created a fire.
No way.
You can't make this shit up. I swear. Sorry, Carter.
Welcome to My God a Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In this episode, John Powell and I preview Georgia's matchup with Tennessee. We talk through what we're looking for in the game, and we answer questions from you, our listeners. As always, remember to check out the newly redesigned MyGottaPodcast.com to see our latest merch. And you can follow us on social media at MyGottaPodcast. Finally, we'd love for you to check out our presenting sponsor, AXIATime, at AXIATime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. Now, let's join the conversation in progress. Another trip to Rocky Top, JP, on the way.
God, I hate Tennessee. especially now. especially now. I would be perfectly fine if we sent those mountain yokels back to Tennessee, back to their homes with a massive L, just like we did with Ole Miss. Just set the place on fire on our way out.
Agreed. Well, for the occasion, I did get a Tennessee whiskey.
Okay.
So I've got Uncle Nearest 1856 tonight.
Excellent. I went with the same one that I had last week because it worked out so well. Which also was a Tennessee whiskey, juke joint whiskey. It's made in Memphis. The Blue Note store pick. It's worked out quite well these last few days or last few weeks. I did, however, mix a little bit of eliteness into it to make it a little bit more less Tennessee, if we will.
Got it. The what was that year?
For those that don't know, that's the Infinity bottle. I poured a little bit of Infinity bottle in here, okay. Which incidentally has a little bit of maple leaf flavor in it right now.
Yeah, I'm getting low on my Knob Creek maple. When that goes into the Infinity bottle, it's going to change it significantly.
Yes, it does. It's quite nice.
Nice.
It's a nice. It's like the Infinity bottle is on fall vibes right now.
Right. Yeah. And I can't do that. I can't do that Knob Creek maple like by itself. I have to mix it with something.
Yeah.
It has to be blended.
Yeah, it's a good cocktail mixer. It's also pretty good for, kind of sweetening up something or giving something a little bit more of a mapley flavor that you want to jazz up something.
Right. John, I still am upset about the fact that we're playing this game this time of year. This should be played in October. And we should be previewing Georgia Auburn right now. Make it make sense, please.
You're much more on the scheduling side of things than I am. I mean it's fine. It's fine for me. Yeah, I like the tradition, but it is what it is. Like I can't change anything about it.
Yeah, you can't. We can't do anything about it.
As long as we're still playing them, if you next year, if you're telling me we're not playing them, then I might have a little bit more to say about it. But
true, fair. And I guess next year we don't know timing of anything yet, so we'll see. Who knows? It could go back to quote normal next year.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you're probably going to be pissed off.
We'll
probably play most likely. We'll probably play Auburn in September or something.
Yeah, probably. They'll probably do something dumb like that.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, yeah. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I was thinking about that earlier today because I was texting with my buddy Jeff about today is 20 years since the remember the Sean Jones scoop and score. It was like 95 yards scoop and score at Tennessee back in 2003. So that was 20 years ago, not to the day, obviously. So it was more than, I guess, a little bit more than 20 years ago. We were texting about that, but we were just laughing because we actually watched that game like on my parents' deck when they still lived in Roswell. So we'd gone over to their house or watched that. And I sent on the clip today because I got posted on Twitter. I was like, hey, remember we were watching this on my parents' deck? It was good times. And, because you could watch games outside because it wasn't as cold because it was October. But that was a great Munson call back then for that one.
Agreed. It's kind of crazy. Like you look back on that, like the players that were there. Like I didn't feel like that was that long ago. You look back on some of these videos, and it's like, man, it just doesn't feel like it was that long ago. But the video makes it feel like it's like 1940.
Well, it's because it's in standard definition.
Exactly.
There wasn't HD yet. What's going on here?
Yeah, seriously.
Oh man.
So Blount College. We're playing Blount College.
That's right. Well, we can hop into the matchup. So we got the Dogs and the Vols. 3:30 kickoff on Saturday. Neyland Stadium. Seats a lot of people. 101,915 is the capacity in Knoxville. The Dogs obviously coming in at 10-0, 7-0 in the SEC. Tennessee coming in at 7-3, 3-3 in the SEC. As we are recording a day later than we tend to, the CFP poll is out, and now the Dogs are unanimous number one in the AP poll, the coaches poll, and the college football playoff. Tennessee is ranked 21, 19, and then they are 18th in the new poll, in the playoff poll. Much
to Kirby Smart's chagrin, I'm sure he's going to be getting asked a bunch of questions about that.
I'm sure. Well, that's what happens when you hang a 50 burger on a top 10 team. You jump to number one.
Apparently, all we had to do was beat someone by like 40 points and just get everything squared away.
Exactly. Soak it in. Doesn't that kind of showcase just how full of crap this is? Like, this is basically the same team. Like, we had one game that we like just blew the doors off, and it just happened to be right before the most recent votes or whatever. Like, had that game happened earlier in the season, do you think that we would have been ranked number one in the country? Like, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. I think everyone was kind of waiting to see. Like we talked about, like we were comparing, beginning of the season this year Georgia to end of season last year Georgia, right? And it's like, where's that team that blew out TCU? And it's like, well, that team wasn't doing that early in the season either. So I think this team is on a similar trajectory as last season's was. So yeah, dude, I agree. I mean, it's all for all the things that they throw into it. Clearly, the eye test plays a lot into it because, I mean, that's the difference. I mean, yeah, I know you can say it was another quality win, but let's be real. It was the eye test of Georgia just absolutely smoking somebody.
Yes. You're looking at like the EPA and all that stuff, like going up to the right. Which, by the way, I did. It's expected points added is what EPA means.
Yes, I saw that. Back to the last episode, I saw that graphic that Josh had posted like right after we were done.
Yes,
but yeah,
it basically just confirms everything that you probably have felt as a fan about this team, like basically just getting better and better and better.
Right. But yeah, man, so get in last regular season game on CBS. So this is the last time we'll be hanging out with Brad and Gary and Jenny Dell and have that glorious CBS theme song. We'll have it for the SEC championship game, but last regular season game. I could see the look on your face, John. Regular season game with these guys. We will have the SEC championship yet to go. The official hashtag is #UGA versus Tennessee. I'll set a reminder, although that apologies to John Michael D. They didn't do me a whole lot of good last week. But I won't be in the stadium, so hopefully I'll actually see my reminder this time to tweet the official hashtag.
It's like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures. Like, damn, don't forget to set your reminder.
Exactly. Oh man. Let's see. All-time series history. Georgia leads the series 27-23-2. So not a lot of history with these guys, not as much as I guess you would tend to think. And then the last meeting, obviously, Dogs won 27-13 last year in Athens. So it's relatively like prior to 92, and it's pretty much not much action going on. Matter of fact, Tennessee's biggest rival is Kentucky. Mm. On like number of games
Yeah,
played
like
against.
the numbers,
Yeah.
the number of games that they played against each other. So
Yeah. It is weird for founding SEC members to not have, and especially being Tennessee. It always seems weird. It always feels like that number can't be right, but there it is.
there it is.
Let's see. Weather it'll be a little cool. So if you're going, bring a jacket. So high of 57 at kickoff, but it's gonna dip down into the 40s during the game. So it'll be a little brisk over there on the river in Knoxville. So dress accordingly.
Dress accordingly. Make sure you bring a fire starter.
And like mustard and golf balls or something. All right, JP, you got it. What do you got for us this week in the realm of fun facts?
All right, realm of fun facts. All right, so a couple of things that might explain why they are the way that they are. Okay, so Tennessee is actually, I know for a fact that I didn't talk about this in a past episode. So you know me, I'm like trying to find things that are relatively new to the listeners from past episodes. So Tennessee is not too far from a little town called Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Do you know what Oak Ridge, Tennessee is famous for?
Was that the like the rocket stuff?
Close. Oppenheimer.
Oh, okay.
It is where the Manhattan Project, where a big part of the Manhattan Project came to be. It was a popular. It's known as the Atomic City. So it's basically 25 miles west of downtown Knoxville. I think that there might be something to the whole, radiation, the proximity to government testing, etc., on why Tennessee is the way that they are. A little,
Yeah, makes sense. Checks out.
There are a few cards short of a full deck kind of thing. But yeah, so I came across that in this year's kind of research, was that they were very close proximity to where we were testing atom bombs. I have another Knoxville-based fun fact that you are going to love, dear listener. Okay, there's a gentleman by the name of George Roby Dempster. Does that name sound familiar at all?
Does not to me.
Perhaps,
no.
like the last name might help with this one, but that's like a hint. So George Roby Dempster was the former mayor of Knoxville. This gentleman is known for one of his biggest creations, the dumpster. Literally, Knoxville is the home of the dumpster upon which they've created a fire.
No way.
You can't make this shit up. I swear. Sorry, Carter.
That's not real. You're making this up.
No, he's the inventor of the dumpster.
Amazing.
Yes.
Nice.
You want to fact check me on this one?
No. I believe you. I'm good.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Dumpster fire originated in Knoxville. Let's see some other fun facts. Famous alumni. Kurt Vonnegut, famous writer. Dolly Parton, who is apparently now going to the game, which the Kirby was unaware of, but now is.
Yeah. Yes. Made aware during the press conference.
He was made aware during the press conference. He was like, didn't know she was coming.
But he did say, yeah, I know who she is. I think it kind of went back to he did like a callback to the Miley Cyrus joke. And he was like, I do know who Dolly Parton is.
Yes. Tennessee, I think I mentioned it earlier. They were originally known as Blount College, which struggled, and eventually was rechartered and rolled into what is now known as the University System of Tennessee. And they are, in fact, a UT Knoxville. They are not a UT. They are UT Knoxville. So much like our previous opponent, UT Chattanooga, these are UT Knoxville. So
yes,
you can forever refer to them as UT Knoxville.
And I know that's been like a recurring joke away since last Saturday this season, but I will say like in like the message board space for years, I know people have always said UTK, and I had to figure that out years ago why people always said that. So that has been around for a while.
Yes. Either way, it's still funny.
It is. It is.
Let's see here. A couple other fun facts about Knoxville, just in general. There was a World's Fair that was held there a while back. Cherry Coke was first unveiled at a World's Fair in Knoxville in, I believe, 1982. I can't remember. I think I lost the page that I had that up on. They're
Close
also
enough.
he's rolling. The other soda beverage that Knoxville is known for, that Tennessee's known for, is Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew was first created there, which I did remember talking about that before. That was invented in 1940.
Okay.
Another fun fact before we get into Hasty's Hargett history. Well, I take that back. I lied. I got two more fun facts. One fun fact. Technically, Knoxville is an international port. You can actually get to the Gulf of Mexico down the Tennessee River. So
Okay.
that's kind of a fun fact for a landlocked state such as Tennessee. The other fun fact: Knoxville is known as the cradle of hell. Oh, wait, hold on. Nope, that's a typo. It is the cradle of country music. It's famous. It's famous for fostering as we mentioned, Dolly Parton. There's a number of country artists that spent their their formative years in Knoxville. Elvis Presley was among them. Dolly Parton, Roy Acuff, and then you've got the Everly Brothers that spend a lot of time there. And then there is there's just a little bit of history there, kind of similar to Nashville, for there being country music.
Got it. Nice.
Those are the briefish fun facts before we get into Jason Hasty's Hargett history.
Okay.
Okay. What were you gonna say, something?
Oh no, you're good.
All right, here we go. This is Jason's entry for UT for the Georgia versus UT Knoxville game. Georgia fans remember the safety that wasn't from the 2022 domination of Tennessee. Jalen Carter's sack of Hendon Hooker in the Sanford Stadium end zone that was inexplicably ruled to not be a safety. This wasn't the only controversial play in the Georgia Tennessee series. Georgia, coached by Gordon Saucy.
I'm assuming it's Saucy.
Saucy. Yeah. I like Saucy. He's quite saucy. Georgia, coached by Gordon Saucy, met Tennessee in Knoxville on the late afternoon of November 11th. So there you go, Jim. November.
No. Okay.
1899. I'm just saying.
You got me.
The late afternoon is important in this case because after being given 3 chances by the referee, J.A. Pierce, to kick a field goal from the Georgia goal line, Tennessee led 5-0. Touchdowns and field goals were each worth 5 points in 1899.
Amazing.
In the second half, Georgia was driving for a potential tying score, but the referee suddenly declared the game over because of darkness. Georgia's captain, William Ritchie, disputed this ruling because he and the Georgia team could see very clearly, but the game was declared over, and with Tennessee being the winner. Ritchie had already threatened to sue the Tennessee team for breach of contract and had declared that Georgia team was playing the second half of the game under protest, both because of the officiating. It's important to note that the referee, J.A. Pierce, was also Tennessee's head football coach.
Dude, can you imagine?
Like, seriously, like what's going on with that? I don't understand. Like, these games would have ended in like riots.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Okay. On October 24th, 1908, Branch Bocock, Georgia's head coach, took the team to Knoxville Georgia rushed the ball near to the Tennessee goal line, but there, according to John Stegman, in the ghost of Purdy Field, the players unpiled and the spectators swarmed around. When Georgia's quarterback, Johnny Northcutt, got to his feet, he found himself face to face with a grizzled mountaineer in a green frock coat and a 4-gallon hat. Sanford, that's Stedman Sanford. Man, a lot of big Georgia names in this week's one.
Yeah.
Sanford, who was close by, was sure the man was full of sour mash. With one hand on the Tennessean fingered a .38 caliber pistol, and with the other he pointed to the goal line. The first man that crosses that line, he drawled, will get a bullet in his carcass. On the next play, Georgia rather sensibly fumbled, and the game ended with a 10-0 Tennessee victory.
I mean, I feel like Tennessee was definitely living by the "if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying" back then, by either A, having your coach be the referee, or B, having your fans literally hold the other team at gunpoint to prevent them from scoring.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, I guess even in 1908, it just means more.
Yeah. When I emailed Jason when we got these in, I was like, I think this might be the best one yet. This is the wildest one to me, that things like this happened. That's
things like nuts. This happened. Yeah, like this is our game as it's currently played today has come a long way.
yeah. It makes me not be quite as upset about some of the things that we see these days. At least you don't have fans with doing these things.
Yeah, seriously. Like Jasper was down. Hold on, let me get my gun.
Right, exactly. Hey, I just marched out of the stadium angry.
Yeah, seriously.
Amazing.
And then he sent some links to the red and black articles from that time period were kind of wild. Like, holy cow.
Yeah. We'll put those links in there, and then if you've been watching on YouTube, you were able to see some pictures of those teams as well. So we add a little extra interactive stuff on the YouTube version, just FYI. So thank you, Jason, again for submitting Hasty's Hard Grade History. Fun stuff. All right. You ready to hit the news and notes, John?
Let's hit it.
All right. So first up, basketball minute. Fletcher, this is for you. Georgia basketball beat Wake Forest on Friday. Actually, I left that out. I was able to watch that game with my parents when they were here last Friday. It's pretty sweet. It had a bit of a big lead and then held on to dear life late, as Wake Forest missed a three right at the end of the game that would have tied it. But also beat North Carolina Central on Sunday. Next up, Georgia is playing in the Bahamas in the Baha Mar Hoops Bahamas Championship. So playing against Miami on Friday at 3:30. And then it looks like they're guaranteed 2 games. So pending results of the Kansas State Providence game and the results of Georgia Miami, they'll play the winner or the loser on Sunday. And if you want to watch that, you can catch any of those games on the CBS Sports Network. So they look Georgia basketball looks much improved from last season. I'll say that.
I'm hoping that they continue that upward trend, because that would be nice to have something to get us through the winter months.
Exactly. So for Kirby's press conference, we've since had 2. Just a couple of player injury updates. So on Julian Humphrey, who we know left the Ole Miss game, Kirby said it's an upper body injury that hopefully we're able to get him back from. So I don't like that hopeful word. And then also similar on Warren Brinson. So Brinson has a calf pull or calf strain. And Kirby said we are hoping to get him back. So Kirby back at it with the hopeful stuff. So I would not expect to see either of those guys this weekend based on that.
Was Brinson out? Did he go out of the game, or is that a recent development? I don't remember that one.
Yeah, he left during the Ole Miss game.
Okay.
So, whatever it was happened in Ole Miss, but I think he had said it had been kind of bothering him. So,
yeah, those calf injuries are kind of brutal.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. We can get into the game. So if we look at kind of like net yards per play, just from overall, I know something we like to look at. So Georgia is currently at 2.56 net yards per play, and Tennessee is at 1.59. But then as we get into the Georgia offense, so what are we looking for when Georgia has the ball? So some notable defenders for Tennessee. Sophomore linebacker Elijah Herring is their leading tackler. He's got 65 total tackles. Kamal Haddon is senior defensive back, leads the team with 3 interceptions. And James Pierce is a sophomore defensive lineman, leads the team in sacks with 8 sacks, and 18 total tackles. So I don't know, JP. We got a bit, as we learned specifically, not as much a homecoming, but we've got a couple of guys that are on the Georgia offense that are going up against the team that they rooted for as children. In 2 friends of the show, and Tate Ratledge and Ladd McConkey. So I expect both of those guys to be pretty fired up for this one.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine there's going to be a lot, man. There's a lot of connections for this game, not only from a player standpoint, family histories, but there's coaches from that. There's coaches that are on the Volunteers that used to coach at Georgia. So a lot going on, a lot wrapped up in this game for sure.
So as we're talking Georgia offense, Tennessee defense, is Willie Martinez still there?
I believe so. He's listed. He's listed as a 2023 coaching staff.
Okay.
Rodney Garner, defensive line coach.
Man,
Mike Eckler, outside linebackers. You've got Willie Martinez. He's the secondary coach. That's.
I think a lot of people listening just celebrated when they heard Willie Martinez as a secondary coach.
Third and Willie.
Let's get it
dialed up.
I would say, Georgia didn't even really need third down against Ole Miss. What was it? It was like Georgia went multiple drives, I think, into the second quarter against Ole Miss before even facing a third down. So I'd be okay with that happening again. But yeah, looking at what their defense does, definitely their passing defense doesn't look quite as good. I mean, they're like 70th in FBS in yards passing allowed per game. Get up there and just have Beck let it rip. I mean, again, like we saw against Ole Miss, right? Like having these guys all on the field together and Beck really being able to choose and be able to have somebody be a decoy, things like that is really going to open things up. Just excited to see that continue. And curious to see the level of balance, right? I mean, we had 300 yards passing and rushing against Ole Miss. And then also last week, I mean, Tennessee got the doors blown off of them by Missouri, and Schrader had 200 yards rushing and over 100 yards receiving against Tennessee. So I don't know. I don't know what the mindset of everyone is going to be. I don't know if you saw Kirby was, I guess, pretty mad at today's press conference. Said that Bloody Tuesday is usually a great day, but did not have a good day of practice today. Yeah, so I think it's I think he's kind of putting into the whole guys reading their own newspaper clippings, things like that. So we'll see. So I don't know, but again, like we've talked about, he kind of speaks to the players through the media. So I'm sure he's trying to get them locked back in and focused for this game. I'm sure that he's
doing that for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
I feel like you don't get to this level, this game in the season, and the team just all of a sudden just gets distracted. You know what I mean?
Right. So I guess with the whole knowing what Schrader did, I am and knowing what Milton did last week, I would love to see continue to see that same Kendall Milton. When he was a true freshman back in the COVID year, I think Tennessee, he had a pretty good game against Tennessee. I was actually saw a highlight from that game today. I was like, who's number 22 on offense? It was Kendall Milton. I forgot that he changed numbers. He was 22 when he was a freshman. But yeah, man, would love to see him and Dejan keep that ground game going for the and our offensive line is a finalist for the Joe Moore Award again. I don't know, maybe they can go out there and prove a point because they keep getting second or whatever. So
yeah, prove a point, all of that kind of stuff. We do have some players that we have some players that are from Tennessee too. So there's a lot on the line here.
Yeah.
I think Zion Logue and I think there's another guy from Memphis, but he doesn't really play much. He's like a redshirt freshman, Aluba. I'm looking at the roster now. A couple of players that are actually from Tennessee. Yeah, those are the main ones.
Okay, got it. All right, you got anything else?
Not to mention friends of the show, Tate Ratledge and Lad McConkey were Tennessee fans growing up.
Yes. Did you have anything else for the offense?
Anything else for the offense? I mean, listen, like the way that my analysis from this point forward is going to be how Carson Beck goes and how this offensive line goes is how the Georgia offense is going to go. At the end of the day, we're not going to be able to run the ball unless the offensive line is doing their job. And we've seen what happens when Carson Beck basically doesn't get a finger touched on him the entire game. Which is basically what happened at Ole Miss with Ole Miss. So yeah, man, like if we mentioned it on the last show, but if that team shows up every game moving forward, there's going to be a three-peat flag flying at Sanford Stadium next year.
Man, yeah.
Period.
I like that. All right. Well, before we move on to the defense, why don't we take a moment to remind everyone that season 4 of My God, a Podcast is presented by Oxia Time. So Oxia Time is a Swiss watch company. So these timepieces are designed in the United States and crafted in Switzerland. So you got to go check them out. You definitely need to check out their 2021 and 2022 Georgia National Championship collection. So they've got multiple colors, multiple bands, from both college football playoff victories, primarily like a red face on the 2021 watches. They've got multiple, but I think the primary one for 2022 has a black face on it. And you get like Power G in the backing. The newer ones say Go Dogs. So definitely check them out. They got men's watches as well as women's watches. But head over to oxiatime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. And if you use the promo code MyGottaPodcast, you'll get a custom presentation box to go along with your timepiece as well. So you've got a place to show it off when it's at home, and put it on display when it's not on your wrist. So I know John and I definitely love wearing ours. Got them on right now, and definitely are always wearing them on game day Saturdays, wearing them around Athens. Always a great conversation starter as well. So.
Yep. Looks like it's a national championship o'clock right now, Jim. What's your watch say?
Yes. Same thing. Yep. Still national champions. So thanks again to Oxia Time for being the presenting sponsor. And again, that they were behind the player interview series. So thanks again for that. And be sure again at oxiatime.com, you can see the limited edition collection that has a Kirby Smart signed presentation box as well. All right. So the Georgia defense, what are we looking for when Tennessee has the ball? So Joe Milton is the quarterback, senior. He is 190 of 291. He's thrown for 2,283 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. They've got kind of a two-pronged running back approach with Jalen Wright. He's a junior, 117 carries for 848 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then sophomore Dylan Sampson has 74 carries for 425 yards and 7 touchdowns. Their leading receiver has an amazing name, sophomore wide receiver Squirrel White. He's got 49 catches, 609 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then senior receiver Ramel Keaton has 28 catches, 469 yards, and 4 touchdowns. We've seen this offense, multiple times before. This Josh Heupel offense, I questioned even like heading into last year. Like I was curious last year how year 2 would go, because year 1 under Heupel, the offense was very explosive. It was good. I was curious, like after the SEC kind of figured out what he was doing, would it continue to be as good? But it actually, I think, was as good last year. Not in Athens, but for much of the rest of the season, it was. But I will say, Joe Milton is a good player, but he's not Hendon Hooker. I think Hendon Hooker was really good. And those receivers that were running down the field last year are also in the NFL. So I know we did a number on these guys last year. Don't be shocked if they start off well, because John, as we've talked about, that's kind of what our defense does right now. But I would expect, look for us to, I don't know, probably see Tennessee do their thing early and then the defense adjusts.
Yeah, I mean, I fully expect that we're gonna see a score.
Yeah.
We've been susceptible to that, you know. It just again, I think that it just comes down to the fact that this defense, for whatever reason, requires a quick on the field learning. And
Yeah.
as soon as they figure it out, like I said before, it's like the Paul Johnson version of the defensive side of the ball. Paul Johnson's pretty famous for throwing some guys out there and throwing some plays out there, figuring out who's got the different, who's basically being tasked with covering his B backs and up backs and all those kinds of things. And as soon as he figures that out, he makes adjustments to block those guys, and ideally off they go. Right. That's basically how Paul Johnson always ran his triple option. And if he was successful at figuring it out, then it was usually a long day for you. But if he wasn't, then it was a bad day for him. And that's basically how the defense has been for us. And thus far, they've figured it out, right? We've talked about this all season long. You just felt that they would always figure out any tough spots that they were in. And in many ways, they've allowed the youth. CJ Allen, freshman of the week last week. He's coming on with the injury to Jamin Dumas-Johnson, and we're talking about Warren Brinson. And in the back of my mind, like, okay. I don't remember. Did we talk about that on the last episode? Like who spelled Warren Brinson? I mean, either way, like it's probably going to be a youthful 5-star, right? Like somebody that you're probably excited to see. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just how this team is stacked. Offensive line, Mims goes out, Fairchild steps in. Jamin Dumas-Johnson goes out, CJ Allen steps in. I mean, this team is stacked, and they're stacked with youth, and you better get us now, because when that youth becomes even more experienced, it's only going to get worse for you. And Lord help you if any of the big names like Carson Beck and Brock Bowers decide to come back, because then it's just going to be lights out for everybody next year. We're going to be talking about 4-peat action.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think I know that Kirby was talking a bit about some of the older guys actually even coming along and doing, like, improving, where they've been backups their whole career and now they're thrust into that starting role. Because he was talking about how much better Stackhouse is playing right now than he was earlier in the season. So Stackhouse, and then Zion Logue had a really good game against Ole Miss too. So I think they're learning how to be the guy, right? Because they didn't have to be that before. So.
Yeah, some guys, it just takes some time. I mean, last year we had Jalen Carter. He had been kind of sitting around, and we've talked about this earlier this season. Like technically, like these guys weren't even supposed to be the guy, right? Like we were supposed to have Bear Alexander was supposed to be the guy, right? And he left, right. And so that made their progression, that made their learning curve slope even a little bit steeper to a certain degree, because we were expecting him to step into that role. And like you said, they're not only having to figure it out, but they're having to figure it out a little bit faster than probably they were expecting. And it's probably it'll be interesting to see how it pans out, because to Kirby, not necessarily to Kirby, but I did hear Nick Saban talk about this. Like, do you think that the NFL cares, that you played as a freshman? Or do you care that you're developed over the next 3 or 4 years, and you get a couple of years and your body doesn't take the toll? Those kinds of things. Like the NFL doesn't care if you played as a freshman. The NFL only cares if you're developed into an elite position player and you perfected your craft, right?
Right.
That's what these guys should probably be thinking about. Like, not only is it a business decision when you're coming in, like, yes, it can be. It can be a situation where you're the peak of your earning power is in college. Like some of these guys, like maybe Stetson's in that vein too. But there is light at the end of the tunnel, especially when you're coming through the University of Georgia.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, these guys have all stepped up. Every single one of them stepped up.
Yep. And I think the only other thing I'll say about this side of the ball is with Tennessee, you tend to think, oh, Josh Heupel, like airing it out. But I mean, these guys run the ball. I mean, that it's all predicated on the run. There's a lot of motion, and they do run the ball a lot. Then they're actually ninth in the FBS in rushing yards per game. So it's gonna, the plan's gonna be what the plan is for Georgia: stop the run, and then when you stop the run, get in one dimensional, and then you can pin your ears back and rush the passer. So, can it continue to be a line of scrimmage game? That's what I'm expecting to see on Saturday.
Yeah, so I mean, the line of scrimmage is obviously going to be crucial for us. I want to see us setting the edge on defense. I want to see us playing. What do they call him? Bazooka Joe? Was that what they were?
Yeah,
that was like the preseason hype. Was there? Oh, you got to do a Bazooka Joe, right? Like,
yeah,
that hype really died, didn't it?
yeah. It did. It did.
I think that we just keep him in check, keep him in third and medium, third and long, and we'll just set that place on fire, Jim. I mean, just burn the whole thing down. Yeah, I mean, I think that if you can get him on early downs with those running plays and force Bazooka Joe to try to bazooka his way into Javon Bullard, that would be fantastic for us.
Yeah. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention one more offensive player who, you never know. We could have someone one of our linemen get around him and just miss by a finger. Cooper Mace.
We've got Cooper Mace.
Cooper Mace still at Tennessee, so he's a senior offensive lineman. So I knew there was something that I was forgetting to mention. I couldn't put my finger on it, and I finally did.
Oh, it's just right on the tip, wasn't it?
Okay. You got anything else? I got a couple of special teams things for you.
So defense, yeah, I mean, I think the tail of this tape is just going to be, keeping their, again, setting the edge, keeping contain, not letting Milton use his legs, and is Milton a particularly big rusher in this offense? For some reason, I felt like I saw a lot of that at the beginning of the season because there was a bunch of chatter about him not being able to throw the ball, right?
So the game that I watched the most of theirs was Alabama, and he was running a decent amount in that game. But I know he wasn't in their top two rushing. Let's see. Milton has 69 carries, 301 yards, and 5 touchdowns on the ground. So he's the fourth leading rusher on this team. So, but I mean, that's a decent amount. So, I mean, he does run. He definitely runs.
Yeah.
Not as much as Jackson Dart, ironically though.
Interesting. Yeah, I would love to make sure that we don't lose contain on him. I think that we did a great job with Jackson Dart. So, I feel like that we've figured out at least we figured out the interior middle protection, and to a certain extent we've figured out, at least to a better extent than we had at the beginning of the season, of being able to keep things contained into the pocket. Now there's still a little bit of issues with setting the edge sometimes, but I think that moment by moment they're figuring it out basically. Now middle of the field passing game, I feel like has been a thorn in our side, just overall. Boundaries, we've got it locked down. We've got 2 great boundary corners, but over the middle of the field coverage wise, I think that there's been some issues there. So I'll be looking for that on the defensive side, being able to take away the middle of the field as well as all the other areas that we've been able to succeed at this season. But then, like I said, just keeping him contained in the pocket and collapsing the pocket like we did last week, and we'll be fine.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, let's see. Special teams things. So you're going to be shocked to know this, John. But Tennessee has an Australian punter. So Jackson Ross is their punter. He's pretty good. So he's averaging 43.44 yards per punt. He is from Pro Kick Australia, like all the other Australian guys. But this guy is an ambidextrous punter, so he can punt with either foot. So watch out for that.
Has he actually punted with both feet?
I believe so. I think they do some of the rugby style stuff where he kind of will roll out at times and he can go either way.
Yes,
Uh,
please roll out of the pocket.
yes, yes, right. Which, as we learned, like you can run into the punter when you're out
Apparently,
outside
yeah.
the pocket. So
That's a wild stat. I'll definitely be watching that space there. Although I will say there's probably somewhere right now there's like you know the last remnants of the Colquitt clan is probably like kicking themselves, or like the rest like the older siblings or whatever, or cousins or uncles are probably looking at them like you messed it up, boy.
I mean, how does the Colquitt family not like move to Australia and just all,
Yeah, seriously.
all right. One other special teams thing that I've been hanging on to this one. John, been waiting to do this. Do you know who Georgia's leading kick returner is?
Georgia's leading kick returner.
Mackay Muse.
Yeah, I was gonna say Muse. Yeah.
But did you know what just happened?
Mackay Muse.
Scott Howard's pronunciations are back, John.
Mackay Muse.
So I made a random discovery today. I was on GeorgiaDocs.com and I was actually just reading like an article, and it said like players mentioned in this article, and then there was a little ear next to them. So all of the pronunciations are now back. And I almost spoiled it earlier because you mentioned
Alu Ba.
so, and I was trying to like fiddle because I didn't have his name on the soundboard because I only had Mackay's. So there are many. There's no one that's as good as like Robert Beal that's like super obvious. But there's a bunch on there. So hey, if you're ever wondering how to pronounce any Georgia player's name, head over to GeorgiaDocs.com on the roster, and Scott Howard will help guide your way. It's back. I've missed it. I've missed that.
That's amazing. So there's nobody like Robert Beal.
There's no one that's like that obvious that yeah, there's no one that's quite that bad. I mean, Bo Hewley, I feel like that's kind of unnecessary to pronounce. Does that count?
Is Jackson Muschamp on there?
Bo Hewley.
I mean, that's kind of ridiculous. No, Muschamp was not on there.
Oh.
So Arian Smith is on there. But yeah, like I said, no one quite is nothing quite as ridiculous as Robert Beal.
Ash Jones?
No, I wish.
Robert Beal.
Nothing can top Robert Beal. Nothing.
Can
It's
top.
just that's still on there. So, anyways, sorry, off the rails. I just had to do that.
I love it.
All right.
I thought it was a trick question at first. I was like, is he really asking me this? Like, it's gotta be used, right? Like, what? I'm so confused.
Sorry. My bad. I should have given you warning. No, I didn't want to give you warning. I'd be surprised.
I'm like, did I take some nuclear fallout from Oak Ridge? Like, what's going on here?
I guess before we move on, their place kicker is Charles Campbell. He is 15 of 18 on field goals for the season, and perfect on extra points. So Kirby also did say in the press conference that the Tennessee is very good at special teams. So just for what it's worth, that's what he said.
I hope this kid gets a workout so much to the point where he's got to kick with both feet because he's so tired.
Nice. All right, you ready to hit the listener questions?
Let's do it. We got some good ones, I feel like.
All right. So listener questions are brought to you by Working Web Media. So Working Web Media, we worked with them during the off season. We were not happy with our website, and they helped us redesign it. So we were able to sit down, work with them, tell them what we were looking for. They were able to do the entire website design for us, and we launched it right at the beginning of the season. So be sure to head over to, mygodapodcast.com. You can check that out. It's got all of our merch, latest merch on there, links to our episodes, and everyone that we work with. But so if you have a small business, you need help with your website, if you just need some help with your online presence, they do a lot of social media work as well. Head on over to workingwebmedia.com/dogs, and then they will know that we sent you their way. All right, let's start off with 51-7 GATA, which was good to see you after the game, by the way, this week. Let's see. When you look at this week's college football schedule, should they ban Power 5 schools from playing FCS or a group of 5 teams in November? This week, we get North Alabama at Florida State, UTC at Alabama, ULM at Ole Miss, and ACU at A&M. It is kind of crazy. And, like when we were talking about CBS and what game they were going to pick, whether Georgia Ole Miss was going to be on CBS versus Georgia Tennessee with the whole max limit thing, Yeah, I was pretty confident that Georgia Tennessee was going to be on CBS because this is the only good SEC game this week. Like what other game was CBS going to want to pick?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't know. I wonder, like, with conference expansion, if the SEC goes to nine conference games, that would probably fix this just by default. I don't know that we're going to, but that's what I would do, honestly, because if we're gonna have a league that's going to be that big, I want to cycle through the teams more quickly. So I would add a ninth conference game, and I would think that would get rid of this week, at least for the SEC.
Right.
I see. Brett Belding. Brett, thank you for sending the picture after you heard us request the picture of us drinking Ale 81. Appreciate it. So his first question, out of all the gimmick props you could pick, why did Butch Jones pick a trash can in 2017? Remember that? They had the turnover trash can?
Yeah, dude. Again, like the connection to trash and this town is just insane. It's
not only did they
needed was a dumpster to throw it into.
Exactly. They invented the dumpster and then had the turnover trash can.
The turnover trash can. Like, I just, like, it's one of those things. It's like someone approved that.
Exactly. Who did that
approve
that? Wasn't that unveiled and, like, wasn't it Georgia Tech against Tennessee? Wasn't that the game? Wasn't that the season opener that year? I'm pretty sure they played in one of those Chick-fil-A kickoff games, and, like, Tennessee got a turnover and they're ducking into the trash can. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, dude, I don't know, man, but, like, I just can't, like someone on the in the UT leadership was like, Butch, are you sure you want to take a trash can out there?
Right. And then second question, Larry had his hobnail boot call. Larry said his hobnail boot call was his favorite. Do you agree, or do either of you have a different one? I've actually said I do have a different one. And mine is, like, because, like, I wasn't listening live to the hobnail boot because I was at the game. So I heard it after the fact. Like, I heard it on the radio when we were on the way home. But for me, it's, with friend of the show, John, our new buddy, Corey Allen, the touchdown, the call of Mike Bobo to Corey Allen, to tie that game and send it to overtime at Auburn in 1996. That is my personal favorite Munson call.
I don't know, man. There's so many great ones. I've heard some calls lately. Like, there was was it the Corey Allen one where he was like you got us in this mess, Scott Howard, like when he's like talking trash to Scott Howard.
Yes, I think it was that. And what I can't remember if it was, I think it was a Corey Allen catch. That might have been Tech in 97, maybe. I could be wrong, but I do. Yeah, I don't know what game that was.
I mean, I just love, like, those little like nuances that made Munson so great, like talking trash to Scott Howard for being so positive or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, my favorite call, hobnail boot's got to be up there. I remember listening to that on the radio with my dad when that play happened. I was at home with my dad when that play happened. I remember he, like, I think I've talked about this on the podcast, but, like, he's not a spry guy, and he literally, like, hopped out of the recliner. It's one of those, like, Georgia memories that's just ingrained in my head. Hobnail boot was great. Look at the sugar falling out of the sky. Like, that's another classic Munson call. Yeah.
So today I mentioned the one earlier today when Sean Jones ran the ball, had the scoop and the whatever it was, 98-yard scoop and score.
Mm-hmm.
That one. So when you mentioned, like, Larry making fun of Scott Howard, I love it when, like, someone, whether it's Scott or whether it was Lauren, like, whenever they would say something to Larry and, like, try to get a reaction out of him, and he would just, like, grunt back, or, like, would, like, not even, he would kind of ignore him. It was always, like, hilarious to me. So in that one, that was 2 years after the hobnail boot. Sean Jones has this, like, amazing play, runs it back, and, the Munson's call is good. But then Scott Howard goes, he was wearing hobnail boots, Larry. And Munson goes, and then, like, Munson's like, huh. Like, he just, like, grunts. Man, he was the greatest. He was the greatest.
So great.
All right. Let's see. Friend of the show, Tim Riley. That Ole Miss game was incredible. What a time to be a Dog fan. Closer contest: Georgia versus Tennessee or Missouri versus Tennessee. For comparisons, Missouri beat Tennessee 36-7. So I could see, not to get to our predictions yet, but
yeah, we have to get to the predictions, but I mean, foreshadowing, I don't know that we're going to beat them that badly. I could see several scenarios in which we do. Yeah. Because Missouri is a good team. So like they're the most recent opponent. So I could see some parallels there in terms of Drinkwitz giving Kirby some tips.
Yeah, agreed. Dude, I'll say it again. Look, we beat a very good football team in Missouri. Missouri is good, man. They're legit. That's a good football team.
They're ranked what, like number 8 or 9 or something like that in the CFP?
Yeah, they should be. They're good. They're better than Ole Miss. I'll say that.
They're better than Ole Miss. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Fletcher Proctor. Will Silas Demery be a one and done and Mike White's first round pick at Georgia, or will he come back and we get 2 in 2025 with Silas and Asa? Silas Demery, John, I was saying that this team is fun to watch. He is very fun to watch. True freshman point guard, but a tall dude. Very smooth. So I don't know.
Is he this season's Ant-Man? Like,
he's not like that highly rated, okay. But he is good. He is good. Okay. So yeah. Although kind of wish we had Mike White with Ant-Man. I'm not sure what Tom Green was doing with him. Oh wait, I didn't keep reading because Fletcher said, "Oh wait, football podcast." Is it Munsoning to be afraid of the turf at Neyland? I love Bowers, but I fear that turf and flying mustard bottles.
I would say it's not Munsoning to be afraid of the turf. I mean, it's definitely a historical fact. So yeah, I would say an ideal scenario here would be to get a 20-point lead at halftime and then just park the bus, as they say in soccer.
Kirby Death March for the entire second half.
Kirby Death March the entire second half. Yeah, exactly.
I'm all for that. All right.
Go 20 points and then just rattle off a 50 play 8-minute drive.
Right.
Kill the third quarter or something like that.
Right. All right. Let's see. Chance Dog 19. Our buddy Chase. Dive into why the Tennessee mascot is named after the Smoky Mountains, but spelled Smoky with an E. Is it the school system in East Tennessee? John, I know you actually did a little research on this.
I did.
So Smoky Mountains is Smoky, but Smokey the dog is Smokey. What's going on here?
Yes, the guy. So the guy that came up with the Smoky mascot or whatever. So they had a number of different dogs. There was some different criteria that the boosters or the pet club like tried to create for this animal. I think it was I already closed out the windows, Jim. I forgot about this question, but I can't remember when the year was. Was it 1935?
I've got it. I will tell you.
You got it.
It was 1953.
53.
So,
that was close.
Yeah. So basically, they had a contest of like some blue tick coonhounds, and the one that won the contest, like its name was Blue Smoky. So whoever had owned that dog had named him Blue Smoky. And I think what you found was he had spelled it differently to distinguish it from the mountains, is what he claimed.
Correct. Yeah. Reverend Brooks, as I remember the guy, some reverend that, he's like our version of the Seiler family or whatever. So, yeah. Like, so basically he named it that way on purpose. But I don't put it past the school systems in East Tennessee.
Yeah, again, I feel like
again very close proximity to nuclear activity. There's a lot going on there, guys.
I feel like he made that up after he realized he had spelled it wrong.
I totally agree. I feel like that people are like, dude, that's not how you smell smoky, right? He's like, what? No, I did that on purpose.
Exactly. All right, let's see. Irked Russell, with Georgia fans chartering a boat for the game, over under 3.5 times the camera shows it or is talked about during the game. So I believe this is like the Dog Nation invasion type thing, like through the AJC, like the dognation.com. I think they have like a party, like chartered boat that's going to like go down the river, dock, and go to the game. I know there was like a huge uproar about it when it first got announced. Like a lot of Tennessee fans were like, we have to block this and we can't let them do this and all this kind of stuff. So I don't know. I'm
like,
going to go.
is it the first time that anybody's ever like brought a boat to the Vol Navy area? Like, I don't understand.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. But they were flipping out online. But this was a month ago when like, things were different for Tennessee. So
that makes me like if I were like a billionaire, like I would like just like go and I would just like wreck their Navy party. Like just I would just like float a barge up there and just massive screen of like Georgia highlights of just us smoking Tennessee.
Yeah. Seriously. I'm gonna go under on it being on the CBS broadcast 3.5 times though.
Yeah, I'll go under as well.
I feel like they're gonna have to do a deep dive to get that to that crew, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jake B. Johnson said the offense is on fire. How will Tennessee try to slow us down? I watched the Mizzou Tennessee game, and the inside linebackers for Tennessee looked slow. Of course, that could have just been Schrader making them look bad. A healthy Milton and Dejan should be troubling for Vol fans, not to mention Ladd and company. Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's going to be a tough task for this Tennessee defense, which statistically does not look great. And as far as matching up with Georgia and with healthy Brock Bowers, I don't know. I mean, they're going to try to do what everyone tries to do. I mean, I think they'll. I don't know. I guess like we used to always talk about that with Stetson, right? Like early on, like what are teams trying to do with us? Try to make the quarterback beat you. I don't think that's going to work with Carson though. But no. Probably what they'll go for first is try to take away the run, just so you want to pick something, make them one dimensional, which is generally the run.
Yeah, I would say that I was worried about the running game when I was looking at the defensive numbers in here. But when you framed it in the national rankings scenario, which obviously has changed a little bit, particularly for the Georgia team, the last little bit here. But in the SEC, like the Tennessee defense is actually like kind of on par with Alabama. So this is going to give us an indicator of what it might be like to play Alabama. They've got similar-ish quarterback. They've got similar-ish defense. The defensive numbers are kind of on par. So like it's kind of like an Alabama light. A little practice for Alabama on what it might look like for us there. And I do know that Alabama, is very big on stopping the run, and I think that's what they're probably going to try to do for us too. I just don't know. I mean, if they sell out to stop the run, that means that we're going to have multiple players: Ladd McConkey, Brock Bowers, Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint. Like we're going to have all these guys, Dylan Bell. We're going to have multiple weapons going on here. So like, I don't think that's going to end very well for them.
Yeah, agreed. All right, while you just reminded me of something that I said when we were having our first half rewatch at my parents' house on Sunday morning. Is Dylan Bell just back to wide receiver? Because now it seems like he kind of is. So maybe he's just a wide receiver again. Now that we've got a fully healthy Kendall Milton, so something we'll keep an eye on that as well.
Conspiracy theorists. I feel like they're going to rope a dope with Dylan Bell. Just watch that space, Jim. Watch that space.
Okay, like he's going to come back at running back at some point.
I believe that they're going to bust it out for Alabama.
Okay. Got it. Let's see. Next up, Chad Jarvis. Do we let a first possession score for Tennessee? And do you guys think this is an overhyped game? Not going to be shocked I guess we kind of talked about that earlier. Not going to be shocked. Do not be shocked if they score in the opening drive.
Yeah.
The scripted drives tend to work against this defense. Overhyped game? I don't think so. I don't think it's an overhyped game. Not after they lost last week. I think like earlier in the season, maybe looking ahead to it, but we didn't know what everything was going to be like for them. But I do know like our buddy John Tweets Sports, like over the summer had talked a lot about how Tennessee was going to take a big step back this year. And he was definitely right on that one. So
as of right now, the get-in price for this game is $229 on SeatGeek, which historically has been pretty cost effective versus the other ones. But that tracks with the Ole Miss game, so I would say maybe so.
It was $229.
$229 is a get in price right now.
Okay.
Now that price for the Ole Miss game dropped as we got closer to the game when I was watching it before you and I decided that I was going to go and take your parents' extra ticket. But yeah, as we got closer for the Georgia game, that price dropped. So it'll be interesting to see where this nets out at. But as of today, that price to get in for Georgia Tennessee is right on par with what it was for the Ole Miss game. I don't know. I don't know that it's overhyped. I don't know that it's underhyped. I think it's right where it needs to be in this context right now, where literally Georgia is in protect all the starters, just win, baby, and survive and advance. Particularly after tonight, where we've now got sole possession of consensus number one status. So, just roll in Knoxville. If they win by 7, if they win by 3, if they win by 40, like it literally doesn't matter. All you have to do is win the game and not get hurt.
Agreed. Your get in price kind of, for me, in my mind, when I was thinking about what this next question is a nice segue. Because BR Jim wanted to know how many points, if any, will home field advantage be for Tennessee? And what I'm questioning is how much of a home field advantage they're going to have. Because we know the road dogs travel. And I'm wondering if that get in price is so high because of Georgia fan demand trying to get into this game. I think we're going to have a lot of dog fans there. So I don't know. Back in the day, home field advantage at Tennessee was significant. Have you ever been to a game there?
Never been to a game there.
So, I mean, it like, Tennessee fans talking about loud stadiums, et cetera. I mean, we've got the open-ended end zone and the sound leaves the stadium. This is a full bowl all the way around, fully enclosed stadium. And it is like straight up. It is steep. It is the loudest stadium I've ever heard. I mean, the Tennessee touchdown before in the Hobnail Boot game, like their touchdown to go ahead before the final drive that led to the, pass of Ron Haynes, that Travis Stevens touchdown, that is the loudest I've ever heard a stadium in my life. When he scored the touchdown, I've never heard anything like there was like a just explosion. That place is loud, but
strength in numbers, right?
Right. But they were like, top 10 team then, like that, that team was actually really highly touted, really good. We were not expected we're in a different spot now. So this point of the season with their record being at what it is, I don't know. I wouldn't give any more than the 3 points, the standard 3 points for home field advantage. I wouldn't give any more than that.
So here's a couple of things that I'll say with what I'm seeing on this map. And again, I'm just using SeatGeek as an example. There are 800 tickets available for this game right now that are for sale on SeatGeek. The bulk of those tickets appear to be on the home side of the stadium.
Okay.
Like on the visitor side, there's like not like, particularly when you're talking about like that whole side of the field. There's not a whole lot available. It's mostly on the curve, and then literally on the home side of the stadium is where most of these tickets are available.
Gotcha. Okay.
Particularly on the lower levels.
Okay. All right. Let's see. John Michael D. What is your best theory on what planet Brock Bowers is from, or what lab created him?
Krypton.
Agreed. I mean, clearly that's the obvious answer.
That's got to be the answer.
Because as we tweeted from the podcast account during the game, Brock Bowers is not human. And so he said, related, is Brock Bowers the greatest dog ever? I know the stories. I've seen the VHS tapes and worn them out, and have asked those who saw him about seeing Herschel live. I say Brock is the GOAT. Hard to say. I don't know. I didn't see Herschel with my own eyes either. I'm in the same boat. I've watched the VHS tapes. I've talked about him with my dad. It was a different era back then, for sure. I think Herschel was very big into fitness, although like push-ups and sit-ups, he wasn't a big weightlifter, but I think he was kind of ahead of the curve then personally, as opposed to like other players. And now everyone has crazy fitness and nutrition programs and everything. So I don't know, man. I don't know. He's up there. He's definitely up there, but both will be a 3-year career.
I mean,
and like what could have been with 4 years, who knows?
So here I'll say this with a caveat. Like I think that Brock deserves the GOAT status, particularly with the trajectory that this season is going to take him. Um, you know, I've at this point we're going to be probably odds-on favorite to win, or at least highly odds-on favorite to win the national championship this year.
Mhm.
Three-peat. How many players in Georgia history have won 3 national championships and have played a significant role on all 3 of them? Had he not been hurt, I was actually looking at this earlier today because I wanted to I was trying to devise a tweet, but it's, I don't know, still, I didn't think it was as impactful, but given this question, I feel like I should probably bust out my research there. Brock Bowers is currently ranked, I think it was number 84 or 86 or something like that in the country in terms of total receptions, receiving yards.
Mhm.
And I mean, the guy missed how many games? 3 games? How many games did he miss?
Yeah, I mean, he went out in Vanderbilt, so he missed like half of that game, missed Florida game.
Missouri.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the guy missed multiple games this season, right? And he's still, had he produced at the level that he's been producing, he probably would be up there in the top of the conversations with the wide receivers this season, which then would put him in the territory for Heisman candidates, right? Like, had he not gotten hurt, I feel like that he would absolutely be in the Heisman talk. I personally think that Carson Beck should also be in that range, but that's a conversation for another day. Yeah, dude. Like, I don't think that anybody's produced at the level like that over the course of their seasons and have the accolades to back it up.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, it's so hard to compare eras. You get into kind of like a Jordan, LeBron, but then plus, but then like on top of that, different position, it's hard. But I will say, I think that the best way to think of it is what Graham texted us late in the game against Ole Miss, and that was that Brock Bowers is our generation's. He's our Herschel. I think that's the way to think of it. So
he's our generation's Herschel. But here's the thing: like, I mean, even hurt, right? Even like recovering from literally having surgery, the guy came out within a few weeks and still was able to produce at the level that he was producing and command the attention that he commanded. Everyone knows that we're going to try to get him the ball every moment he steps on the field, and they still can't stop him. That is the type of player that Herschel was.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, wait, which guy are you describing?
he is producing at the level that Herschel did, but he's also got all of the accolades to back it up.
Yeah, I mean, he does.
He's missing is the Heisman Trophy, which
no Heisman, but two national championships to 1. But I mean, on the man, it was so funny the way you were sitting there talking about these Brock things, and the similarities are there. Like, you're like, well, he was hurt, and I was just like, well, I mean, Sugar Bowl 1980, Herschel dislocated his arm, like they like popped his shoulder back in, and he went in and scored, the only touchdowns against Notre Dame. So that is pretty cool, the similarities there. So yeah. I don't know. Let's wait, and maybe we can reassess that in the off season. We'll see where this goes.
There's a small part of me that's hoping that he's going to come back and put this to rest.
Nice.
Settle it on the field, Brock.
I see. Rambo, are we all disappointed that we don't use dem junkyard dogs more? I mean, dude, the defense ain't no joke. I mean, I say junkyard dogs.
I say junkyard dogs. I think that in order to have that term junkyard dogs, they probably would need to put up some better numbers in the red zone, on the red zone defense. But that would be my only knock there.
Okay. Let's see. Brian Hawkins, why don't some Tennessee fans seem to grasp the fact that they won't beat us and that we are much better than they think? I will say, I feel like maybe I just haven't been on Twitter a whole lot the last couple of days, but I feel like they've kind of piped down after losing to Missouri. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just haven't been on Twitter enough. I haven't seen it as bad as, like, say, last year leading up to this game, for example.
No, it hasn't been nearly as bad as last year now. Yeah, I mean that pretty much ended with the losses earlier this season, you know. They
Yeah.
I feel like had they beaten Bama, they probably would have been a little bit more puffy about things, but losing to Missouri, yeah, there's not you can't talk trash about Georgia's schedule and then lose to Missouri.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, last one from Shug77. Can you get this image out of my head? And we'll have to flash it for those on YouTube. If you're listening on a podcast form, he gave a picture of Bobby from King of the Hill next to Josh Heupel, saying that Bobby grew up to be a damn fine college football coach. And you can't unsee it. I don't know why you would want to see it. I think it's hilarious.
This is one of my favorite memes to compare him to is damn it, Bobby. Yeah, dude, that's perfect. What was it? There was another one that someone there's another kind of corollary there that someone had posted that I thought was like I was like, oh my gosh, I can't, that's really good too. But the Bobby one is for sure amazing. What was the other one? Oh,
I know. I liked the Jeremy Pruitt ET one when in the COVID year when he had like the
the Cornholio. No, Cornholio is the one that I thought was amazing.
Oh man, when he had like the net gator and like because he was supposed to have a mask on, but he had like over his head somehow. That was amazing.
Why was he wearing that? That's another thing. Like, Coach, you look like a giant goober. What are you doing?
It made zero sense. No sense whatsoever. That was good.
What was the other one that he looked like? I can't remember what it was. There's something like Chumley or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But I know there was an entire like Reddit thread about him looking like Bobby from King of the Hill. It's pretty good. Is there like the picture that was submitted is not the only one that I've seen. I looked it up. It's pretty good.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Are you ready, John?
We're ready.
Oh my God! My God, a freshman. Trying to put glasses on it.
It is time for Coach Trillbill's over-unders Tennessee. All right, John, as discussed in the last episode, I have a bit of a lead, so I will continue to go first. So we will start off with the Georgia offense. Georgia offense over under 275 passing yards. And I will go first. I'm going to go over.
I think if I want to pull the panic button and go opposite of you just for disparity's sake, I'm not going to pull that. I can't pull that on this one. I can't go against my boy Carson Beck. I'm going to go over.
Okay. All right, over to you. Over under 145 rushing yards for Georgia offense.
Over.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go over as well. Over to me. Over under 6.5 players with a catch for Georgia offense. I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna go over.
I'm gonna go over on that one too.
The disappointment in your voice is palpable, John.
I mean, at this point, like I just want to win. I don't care anymore. Like
fine.
Just win, Bulldogs.
Moment by moment. Let's see. Over to you. On the Georgia defense. Over under 150 rushing yards by Tennessee.
Under.
Okay. Let's see. Man, they rush for a lot. I'm gonna go over on that. And let's see. My turn. Over under 1.5 forced turnovers by the Georgia defense. I'm gonna go over.
I'm also gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna throw a differentiator out there. I'll go under.
Okay. Over to you. Over under 2.5 sacks for the Georgia defense.
Over.
Okay. I'm gonna go over as well. Special teams 4.5 field goal attempts combined. So that's for me. I'm gonna go over.
Field goal attempts combined.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go under.
Okay. And last miscellaneous, over under 1.5 hobnail boot references on the CBS broadcast.
Over.
I'm gonna go under.
Yes.
Because I think it's going to be exactly one. Because I think it'll be in the opening intro montage. I think it'll be in that. and I don't know that they'll come back to it. Although, you know what, I'm sticking with what I said, but I could see it coming back. Who knows? Because like we said, this is the last one. It's the last Georgia Tennessee game on CBS. I could see like a through the years moments kind of segment, when it get brought up. So.
I have a prediction. Yeah,
okay.
It's kind of in that. They'll talk about it before, but I have a feeling the Aflac trivia question is going to have something. They'll tie something like that.
I like it. I like that. Okay. We'll have Coach Joe Bill track that for us. Coach, thanks as always for tracking these, submitting them, and it was a great home season. We got to close it out, beat at the tailgate with you this past weekend, so it was a lot of fun. Appreciate it. All right, John, it is time for the final predictions. And as we get into that, I can't help but notice, John, that you're wearing a similar T-shirt as I am. So you've got the tree that owns itself. I've got the Georgia Bulldog golfing T-shirt. So both of us are wearing shirts from Home Field Apparel. So I did the event that Home Field put on, the Home Field Homecoming. And so after that, we were able to team up with Home Field, just like our buddies at Dog Central. So we are now part of the Home Field crew. So just want to share that with all of our listeners. So they've got a lot of retro logo, retro designs, and they're comfortable T-shirts. So go over to homefieldapparel.com, check them out. And for My God a Podcast, you can use the code HunkerDown, and you'll get 15% off of your first order with Home Field. So be sure to go check it out. We've been wearing it throughout the season, and we've been enjoying it. So excited to partner with them as well. All right, predictions.
Absolutely.
CBC R2 Sam has this game at Georgia 31.2 to Tennessee 24.5. OddsShark has this as a 10-point spread with an over-under of 58, which gives us an implied score of Georgia 34 to Tennessee 24. The OddsShark predicted score is Georgia 41.2 to 24.8. I pulled the CFB Nerds model. They've got Georgia 33.6 to Tennessee 19.8. And then the scoring impact that I've been tracking. So against the Power 5, Tennessee gives up on average 21.8 points per game against the Power 5, and they score 30.6 points per game against the Power 5. However, Georgia is scoring 9.68 points more per game against the Power 5 than their opponents allow, and they're holding their Power 5 opponents to 10.5 points less than their Power 5 opponents score. So if you apply all that, that would give Georgia 31.5 to Tennessee 20. So a lot of that stuff kind of lining up actually with the scoring impact, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, we're getting down into regression to the mean and, statistical models starting to make more sense than earlier in the season. Georgia playing up to where it was, and schedule's getting more difficult for everyone else, and including Georgia, and we're starting to perform at a high level. So it makes a little bit of sense. But yeah, I
waffled on this a lot. There's a couple of things. There's a couple of things.
Is it because you watched Georgia just absolutely skull drag Ole Miss?
So here's what it is. It's okay. So it's the way we beat Ole Miss, and then it's the way Tennessee lost to Missouri. But then all I can hear in my head is Kirby saying, "You're never as good as you think you are after a win, and you're never as bad as you think you are after a loss." So then that's coming to my head. I'm like, okay. But then I go and I look at the last 3 times we went to Knoxville. In 2021, we beat them 41-17. In 2019, we beat them 43-14. And in 2017, we beat them 41-0. We've scored over 40 points on these guys the last 3 times we've been there. So I don't know. And then what brought me back down after I realized that, John, was hearing what Kirby had to say in today's press conference about how he wasn't happy with the team practice on Tuesday. It's like all these things are going through my mind. So I'm going to go back to kind of where I was initially. I've got the Dogs winning this one 31-13.
31-13. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, I can see a number of scenarios with this ending up. My gut when I came into this was like 31-21, and when I saw the scoring impact and I saw everything else, that's kind of where I've been leaning. But like, I don't know, man, this defense is starting to play really good, dude.
Yeah. They really are.
Yeah. I want to go 41-20.
41-20.
Yeah.
I like that. I think that's a good one. That's kind of, I was in the same kind of frame of mind as well. That's right around where I was when I looked at the history and realized we keep scoring 40 on them when we're up there of late. So I would be all right with that. Wouldn't mind, like a defensive score. We talked about the Sean Jones one.
Yeah.
Shoot, man, the Eric Stokes sack where he absolutely leveled the quarterback, and then shoot, who picked that up? Oh man, now I can't remember. It was
one of the was it
linebacker that who got no who got the onside kick or who caught the squib kick in the Rose Bowl in 2017? He was a converted running back, and he was drafted. He played for the Giants.
I'm blanking, man.
Tay Crowder.
Yeah, there you go.
I can't. Yeah, man. Sorry. I just went way off track.
I would never get that one, but
oh man. Okay. Anyways, sorry. So yeah, wouldn't mind a defensive score either.
Agreed. I wouldn't mind for someone to leave the press conference whistling good old Rocky Top.
Yeah. Fromm was always good at rubbing it in on the balls.
What a legend.
So I did look around some other games of interest. Like we said, not much going on in the SEC. You got Florida at Missouri. I don't expect that to be much of a game. I bring that up because I expect we will see another L added to Florida when they go to Missouri. So there's that one. But I mean, the biggest one of the weekend is Washington at Oregon State. Could we see Washington trip up and fall from the unbeaten ranks? They had a close one against Utah last week. So I don't know. I don't think they will, but that's the only other top 25 matchup.
I'm gonna make a comment since you're talking about Washington and having them trip up or whatever. There is actually some pretty historical stuff going on in that regard with the folks at the top, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
There are 7 10-0 teams at this point. That's the most that this sport has seen since the BCS began in 1998.
Really?
There are 7 10-0 teams right now.
Okay. So that's the most.
8 teams. There are 8 teams with at least 33% chance of winning the CFP right now, with just 3 weeks left. So there's a couple of scenarios there, right? So you've got, if you're a person that loves chaos, that is a scenario that could potentially present a lot of chaos. If you're the person that is, screw you guys, like the BCS is amazing, like maybe there's still an argument there for, not all 10-0 teams are created equal. I personally sit in the side of, I don't feel that Washington and Oregon are as valued as they are hyped, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I don't think that they're as good as they're being made out to be.
Got it.
And I don't think that Michigan in particular is as good as they've been advertised as well, given the fact that who they have played. I don't think that the Big Ten is very complicated at all. We have caught a lot of flack for our schedule, but as the chips have fallen where they may, right?
Yeah.
Georgia's schedule has turned out to be pretty solid.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at where do we sit with Sagarin's or ratings or whatever right now?
On strength of schedule?
Yeah. How are we ranking strength of schedule? Because I'm literally clicked on 3 different links, and they all have different teams at the top. Like this one has like LSU at the top, another one has Alabama. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. Like Georgia has 3. Georgia's by the end, assuming they run the table, will probably end the season with the most top 25 wins on our resume, or at least among the top 25 wins on our resume. But anyway, you look at all this, like the strength of schedule and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not sold on the Big Ten. I'm not sold on the Pac, on the what is it? The Pac-12.
It's the Pac-12 right now, but it's not going to exist. It's going to be Pac no one next year.
Pac no one, yeah. Pac no one, Big 12. I'm not sold on any of them. I mean, the SEC has been the consistent. If you're ranking currency and things like that, it's been a solid dollar for a long time, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not sold on anyone else outside of the SEC.
Well, I know what 51-7 GATA said when he stopped by the seats after the game was Georgia and Alabama, best two teams in the country.
It had to be Georgia and Alabama to end the CBS broadcast situation. So,
which I'm not going to remind you that that's what I predicted preseason, but I'm going to remind you that that's what I predicted preseason.
I can't remember what I predicted preseason, but
I know
of course it has to be,
because I said it was for poetry, and sorry, Carter, but you said your poetry.
Nice.
At least that's how I remember it. So,
hey man, you know what? There's something to be said about piling dirt on a dead corpse or whatever, however you want to say it. So,
yeah. Well, hey, you got anything?
We'll get to that review. We'll get to that review later.
Sure. You do anything this weekend? I know neither of us are heading to Knoxville.
I was just thinking about that. No, I'm not heading to Knoxville. I was just thinking, I believe my wife has a bunch of Santa sessions. Shout out Lindsay Powell Photography. If you're interested in Santa sessions, she's booking in the Marietta area. So if you'd like to get a little experience there, I believe that she's got a handful of sessions that are still available, but she puts together a nice little event at our studio here in Marietta. So if you're interested, let us know. I think that she's got that this weekend, if I remember correctly, because I believe that I've been tasked with getting a bunch of Christmas trees set up for all that. So
gotcha.
I'll be doing that on Sunday, I believe. Or I'll be doing it on Friday before. I can't remember. I'm hoping to have a fire this weekend. Maybe pull a game outside. We'll see. Need to check with a friend of the show, Kyle, neighbor friend of mine, and we haven't done a game outside, so we'll see.
We do like all of our games outside generally.
I mean, you have the great setup for that. I don't.
Yeah, but so now with it, so I was just checking the weather this weekend. So it's high of 67 here in Charlotte area, low of 44. I might do that. That might be a good light the fire during the day and watch the game. We'll see.
So your setup is great for it because you've got the chimney and it's covered and all that stuff. I don't have the covering. So for me, when I put the game on outside with the fire and the lights and stuff, it should be okay with the timing. With daylight savings and all that stuff. But like the 3:30 kickoffs are oftentimes like where I like to set it up. Like the sun just kills the TV, so like I can't. Like I actually have a spot that my wife reminds me is like, you remember that day you left the TV outside at 3:30 and it killed that one spot. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna be in the market for some new TVs here for Black Friday. So
got it. Nice. Yeah, we have like a pretty wide open weekend, so most likely, make some bean dip. Watch the game on the deck, light a fire, maybe do some s'mores after. So that would be nice. I will say something I actually didn't realize even until today, because my parents were here last weekend. Kim and Ella and Lily got to actually have like the actual Ponda's Famous bean dip because my parents were here. So my mom made the bean dip to be consumed at our house for the Ole Miss game. So
she made Ponda's actual famous bean dip.
Exactly. Exactly. We'll make our version of it for the game this weekend. So
I like it. I'm gonna do. You know what? I'm gonna channel a similar situation there by going I may go get some street tacos again because that worked out pretty well for us.
Nice. I like it. Just don't go all the way to Jefferson to get them.
I won't go all the way to Jefferson. I know exactly where I'm going to go. I'm either going to head up Cobb Parkway, right across from where we used to live in Kennesaw, or I'm going to head over to Franklin Gateway, which has got some really good tacos over by where Atlanta United trains. Nice.
All right, man. Well, this is a fun one. Always fun to go watch the Dogs play in Knoxville. Hopefully, we can keep their band quiet and don't have to hear Rocky Top too much.
Yes, I'd love to not hear Rocky Top. I'd love to see half the stadium burning and empty.
Love it. Yeah. Well, hey, it's from the land of dumpsters, so
it is the land of dumpster fires. So please oblige them.
Nice.
Awesome, man. Well, you guys have a good weekend, and go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
O'Reilly. You need parts? O'Reilly Auto Parts has parts. Need them fast? We've got fast. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Product availability. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people. O'Reilly.